Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is an old friend of the show, Michael Farrell. He is the Public Relations Director for Lawrence Memorial Hospital in New London. They are celebrating 100 years, so we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is Michael Farrell. He is the Public Relations Director for Lawrence Memorial Hospital, located in New London. First of all, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Sean. Good to be back.
When you were last on the show, you were fairly new to the job. So there's, after amount of time has passed, there's probably a lot more that you've learned and gleaned, and you're much more comfortable in your position now, correct?
I am not performing surgeries yet,
no,
but
not yet,
have learned quite
but
a bit about.
Observed, so.
Yes, I have actually. I've observed a number of different procedures, but you know, the healthcare world, as everybody knows, is dynamic and it's changing every day. And in my background, it was in tourism, and so it was quite a shift for me. But the best thing so far has been people's willingness to help and to teach me, and to just see the passion that we have and that the nearly 3,000 employees at L&M have for the people that they care for.
Do they have like those stadium seating kind of things that you see on TV sometimes where you're kind of looking down at a procedure?
No, I think that would be more focused in teaching hospitals.
Okay.
L&M is...
I saw it in Seinfeld.
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's right.
He dropped the...
yeah, well, no. There's
those things don't happen.
No, those things don't happen in real life. But no, there's not situations like that.
But we are celebrating 100 years of Lawrence Memorial Hospital.
We are, and you know, we're very proud of that. I mean, you think back, business today to reach 100 years is a phenomenal achievement. For a hospital, it's even more remarkable given, again, the environment that we're looking at. When L&M started back in 1912, there were almost a half a dozen hospitals in New London. And here we are, you know, small operations obviously, but now here we are as the lone survivor, if you will, and continuing to navigate our way through this environment to stay viable, to stay independent, and to continue to provide great care for the communities that we serve, which in this area is, you know, as far west as, you know, Lyme and Old Saybrook, and then east as far as the Rhode Island border and even into Westerly.
Does it make sense? Is there such a thing as territory for hospitals? Like for Lawrence Memorial, the next closest one is either Norwich or Westerly. Does it make sense for there to be, you know, like a buffer zone between? I guess common sense.
It's a little bit different now. I mean, we have a primary service area where we draw most people from, and that's particularly along the coast, as I said, from like Lyme to Stonington. Secondary service area goes a little bit north, encroaching, you know, into Ledyard, Montville, a little bit of Norwich, you know, areas like that, Gales Ferry. So sure, we each have our own distinct areas, but you know, it used to be you went where your doctor told you to go.
Right.
Now there's a lot more choice and a lot more opportunity. Well, there's that, and you know, and what specific need you have, and where the best place is for that. So the consumer does have more choices, but yeah, like any business, we have our core area or our core audience, if you will.
You know, and it's funny you mentioned, you know, what's best for the patient, as it were. Lawrence Memorial expands all the time. There are new things, new facilities, new branches, new areas of treatment for people. So, you know, every day that passes, there's more reason to not go somewhere else and more reason to go to L&M.
Right. Well, you think about it too. Back in 1912, there was no highway. Right. So a lot of people say, well, geez, it's not easy to get there. It's not right off the highway. Well, so you have to think back to what the place was like when we were established. Then you go forward to the mid-'70s when Pequot over in Groton comes up, and you know, is immediately right off the highway, and does a phenomenal amount of traffic over there. Between the Pequot emergency room and our own emergency room, we're seeing nearly 90,000 patients a year.
Wow.
So that rates us in the top 10 of emergency room visits in the state. So then the expansion continues in terms of other facilities. You know, we have facilities in East Lyme, we have facilities in Waterford, we have a new one in Stonington, we're down in Old Saybrook, and then we have a network of physician practices that are scattered throughout this marketplace too. So and a lot of that is based on the fact that our main campus is essentially landlocked.
Right.
We've done all we could do.
So we can't
where
really
we
expand much more?
We can't go that way, but so we bring, the facilities that we need to the specific places that we're trying to go after. One of the new things that's coming that we'll be breaking ground on later this year is a new cancer center in Waterford. And again, that's going to be right off the highway. And we have a cancer center at the main campus, but now we're going to have a new $32 million facility right in the Crossroads area that's going to be complete state-of-the-art in all facets of cancer care, which will give people the opportunity to receive the care they need closer to home.
So it's all about convenience when you're talking about these other satellite locations. They don't have to go to New London. They can go to these other...
Depending on the need, yeah.
Right.
So, Stonington, for example, our facility there has primary care, it has lab, and it has diagnostic imaging. So depending on the need, you can get it all done right there. The other interesting aspect of that location, it's right next to a supermarket. So you laugh, but there is that convenience factor of going to one place where you can get everything done that you need.
I'm going to do some shopping and get a procedure.
Exactly.
And
but
then I'll be on my way.
But
it's
it's
outpatient? Okay.
But it's about bringing the facilities and the needs to where the people are. So that is certainly a part of it.
Speaking of the emergency room, the Pequot location in Groton, it gets a lot of traffic as well, but it really offloads what would be a tremendous amount that would be coming into the New London emergency room if that Pequot facility wasn't there. And that's probably one of the best moves that L&M has ever made. It
was a significant move back in the early 70s, as I mentioned, and what it does is it allows people to almost self-select. If you're on this side of the river and you think, you're right, I don't have to go all the way to New London, right? You don't have to go an additional 5 or 10 minutes. But it allows you the chance to go somewhere closer to home and get the same quality care that you would receive in New London. But more importantly, you do it quicker.
Yeah, I was
because
thinking,
it's not, the log jam isn't created there.
Exactly.
The emergency room there is busy. It's busy on the main campus, but without the two, imagine what it would be like.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate to have Pequot there, not just for the emergency room, but also for the other things that go on there in terms of the therapy that goes on there, same-day surgery goes on there, rehabilitation goes there. So that facility is utilized quite a bit.
Not to mention the fact that you said right off the highway, so the convenience
factors.
factors.
People know right where it is.
Yep.
You say Pequot, you don't necessarily say L&M there, but you say Pequot, and people know what it means, and they know where to go. And not 24/7 for emergency, but at the point not needed for that.
I would argue that for some people, even on this side of the river, that perception that the main campus New London emergency room might be a little on the crowded side, they might purposely go over to Groton just to go to Pequot.
You're right, and there's a lot of different factors in terms of what people use to determine where they want to go for treatment. They might know a specific doctor over there. They might like the way this room is set up compared to that room. But the fact is, in this area, there's more than one option, and it's both of them with L&M. But you've got two different places to go.
Now, you mentioned that the main campus in New London kind of landlocked, can't really expand too much more there. But would you even want to? Because it seems like the new trend is to make it more convenient for potential visitors, patients in their local community. So maybe even if there was space to expand, you probably would a little bit more still. But I'm thinking you still would be in a lot of the other communities just for the sake of the people.
It would depend on what the specific need is. But you're right. I mean, a lot of times it's trying to get closer to where the higher groups of population are. We looked at the Stonington market, for example, and said, there's a need for us to be over there, and there with primary care, and then with the other things that we offer. We might decide the same thing in other towns someday. It's all going to depend on what the sort of environment is like. The next big thing, as I mentioned, is the cancer center, and that has a significant need, and that's why a great deal of time and energy and resources is going in to develop that. But I think the number one thing that we want to encourage people to do too is find a primary care provider, because the other challenge is the pressure on the emergency departments is oftentimes coming because people don't have a regular doctor. So when an issue comes up, they're coming to Pequot or they're coming to the main campus because they don't know where else to go. And the whole dynamics of healthcare is shifting enough that primary care, in addition to having somebody to go to, it's having somebody that can help you then navigate, when you do need different things. We were talking a little bit earlier about sleep. You know, if you have a sleep disorder, it's going to start with your primary care person, who then is going to refer you out to our sleep center or maybe to some of our other locations. So it's really having that person in your corner is kind of your own healthcare navigator, as well as the first call when something comes up, as opposed to, oh, geez, I have to go over and sit in the emergency room for a few hours to take care of a hangnail. You know, but that's, you know, there's a reason why there are waits sometimes, and it's because of the amount of volume that we're pushing through.
You could argue that there'd probably be a significant amount of those people in there that probably should be going to their primary care physician, right?
If they have one. A lot of them don't have them, and what we want to do is encourage people to get one.
Yeah.
Because it not only does it, again, it frees up some of our time in the emergency rooms, but it gives people you know, a starting point for when there is an issue.
And you might be argued that it could be cheaper for you to go to your depending on your insurance issue, because the emergency room is always going to be a little bit more expensive.
Well,
right?
you know, as I said, the way the insurance game is going too, it's just important to have somebody that can be in your corner. And not that an emergency room physician isn't going to be, but that person isn't going to know your history. They're not going to take the time to know you and what has happened in the past. They're going to be focused on what's brought you in that particular time.
Right. Let's take a break and talk a little bit more about that 100-year anniversary. Give people a website to go to.
lmhospital.org.
Pretty simple. Lots of stuff on there. So we'll take a break and come back. Michael Farrow is the Public Relations Director for L&M Hospital. We've got a lot more to get to, so we will. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. We'll be back. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest is the Public Relations Director for L&M Hospital in New London, Michael Farrow. We mentioned the website a moment ago. I'm going to assume that L&M is also plugged into social media as well.
Oh, we sure are. And, you know, that's been an amazing thing to sort of watch take off. We started a Facebook presence about a year and a half ago, and as well as Twitter and YouTube. But Facebook has been our primary vehicle for that. And the support has been amazing. It doesn't sound like much, but we're just about 3,000 people.
I'm trying to figure out what you would put on a Facebook page as far as a hospital goes.
Well, a lot of it is just reminding people of certain things and sort of creating awareness. And what we try to do is really keep it as a fun and informal tone, and not being preachy to people about, you know, make sure your blood pressure is this, but you know, come wintertime, we might give some tips on, you know, snow shoveling safety. Around Halloween, we produced a video with our partners in the Safe Kids program about trick-or-treating safety and things like that. So it gives us a vehicle to get some information out in a way that we don't always have the ability to do. And people have been very responsive. And the automatic assumption was that it would just be younger folks that are attracted to this.
Right, because they're on the computer, they're on Facebook.
Not the case at all. In fact, our largest group of Facebook folks that like us is in the 45 to 55 range. And then 55 plus is right behind it. So we feel really good about that. And it's just a way to give people more information.
Right.
And with the 100th alone, we're giving more information quite a bit. But we've done things from, as I said, different videos. Every Friday we do what we call Physician Friday. We have, you know, almost 500 doctors on our medical staff. So each Friday we write a nice little story about a particular doc and put it up there and give people the chance to get to know the medical staff, not just in terms of everything focused on healthcare, but what they like to do as a person, and you know what makes them tick and what they like to do. So a lot of good response so far, and we do a lot of things on campus that are photogenic, you know, different departments doing different things. So we share a lot of that too.
Are you involved in the Facebook stuff?
Yeah,
so,
it's my thing.
Baby, yeah.
It was part of when they hired me. It was to sort of get some of the social media presence going. But people have accepted us and they've, you know, appreciated what we've done, and so far it's been great. In just over a year and a half, we're the second most active hospital in Connecticut social media. We only trail Yale. You know, all the others,
wow.
We've surpassed.
That's impressive.
Them.
You got to have somebody who's really kind of dedicated to it and is comfortable and familiar with Facebook.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of time, and then to try to find, you know, the right thing that's going to get a response, because what it does is it just creates awareness. You know, for example, we had some babies born on February 29th. So we had some fun with that. On 11/11/11, we had a baby at 11/11, right. And that drew an unbelievable amount of attention. So it's just stuff like that people respond to. It resonates with them, and away we go.
I would argue, and because you know that I'm also in radio too, a website is it's got all your info, but it's pretty static. It's not as interactive as a social media site can be. And I would argue in this day and age that a social media page is as important, if not more important, for for the sake of, because people are plugged in, they're connected, they're networked on.
Right, and you
want to get a hold of them, that's where they are.
You're right, and we've got so much information to share, Sean. I mean, that's the thing. It's when you get into the different specialties and the different areas of service that we can provide, the website handles most of that.
Right.
The social side is a little bit more
fun.
Social, a little bit more personable, and particularly around the 100th. I mean, we're trying to do a lot of things related to that and to draw people's attention to it. We will soon be announcing our 100,000th baby that was born.
Are you breaking the news right here?
No, well, I'm not telling you who it is. I know who it is.
Okay.
It's interesting. The first year the hospital was open in 1912, there were 43 babies born. We average now about 130 a month.
Wow.
So we went on this mission to determine if we had baby 100,000, and if not, let's get ready, and if so, when was it? Well, baby 100,000 was born in 1991, and we've identified this person, and we'll contact, it's a she, we'll contact this young woman and try to see her story and see what her life has been.
I'm giving you the opportunity right now to break the news.
Oh, not going to do it.
Now.
Top secret information.
Can't squeeze it out of you.
Can't squeeze it out of me. But it's all part of the excitement that we're trying to build up with the centennial. And
so let's talk about it. 100
Sure.
years. What kind of celebrations are going to happen? Will there be parties? Will I be invited to any of them?
Well, whether or not you're invited is a whole separate thing. But yeah,
got lost in the mail.
There's a large party that we're throwing, a gala, if you will, on May 19th at Mohegan Sun, and we're expecting about 1,600 to 1,700 people to come and help us celebrate a century of care and a century of community. We have a gala every year, but it's typically around 400 or 500, and this one we really wanted to make special. So we went to one of the largest rooms in the area, and the response from people so far has been phenomenal. We have nearly 100 sponsors supporting the event. And as I mentioned, we're probably going to top out at about 1,600 or 1,700 people. We started celebrating with our employees on April 8th, which is actually our anniversary. And that day, it was a Sunday, all employees that were working were treated to a special meal in the cafeteria. And then later in that week, all other employees were treated to a special meal as well. Later in the summer, we're going to be having a family day for employees at Ocean Beach Park here in New London, and there'll be some smaller events scattered throughout the year too. We're trying to keep this going, for as much of the year as we can, and looking at different events and putting a centennial spin on them, if they will. So there's been a lot of work that's gone into it so far, and a lot of people get very integrated into this, I guess you'd say, because the hospital means so much to so many people. It's the one thing in town that everybody can revolve around.
Right.
You've all been there for whatever reason, whether you're born there or someone in your family passed away there or some other life experience happened there.
Right.
Everybody can rally around a hospital,
and it's going to be there too.
And yeah, I mean, we certainly hope it will be for another 100 years. I mean, the whole environment is changing, but we have positioned ourselves to be in a very good situation to continue to serve this community. And I think the reason why we're looking at 1,700 people for this event is people realize that, and this is the one time where we've really said, you know what, this is when we really want your support.
Is this for the gala that you mentioned? Is that sort of for non-employees, or they be involved too? Well,
yeah.
Someone's got to stay and work at the hospital.
Well, sure.
There's going to be a skeleton crew, but someone will be there.
If there's an issue on that day, people can come and they'll get taken care of. But will there be employees there? Sure. Will there be supporters and donors there? Sure. But there's also going to be a fair number of just regular people that want to come support us. People that have given birth there. there, people that have had knees replaced there. I mean, you name it, they're going to be there.
I appreciate you reminding me that my radio station is a sponsor, so there's a seat there for me if I want to.
Well, that's really not for me to decide.
That's for my staff.
It's for your other folks to decide. But as I said, more than just about 100 businesses have stepped up to really help us mark this.
Now, the gala or the 100-year anniversary in general, being the PR guy, you're very involved in that as well, as far as getting the word out, of course, but also in the planning of all the events themselves.
And trying to figure out how we can take advantage of the opportunity to share this story. We've started a media campaign locally. We've done some things on the social network side. We've done things internally for employees, and we want to keep it going. I think everybody in this general area knows L&M and understands what L&M is, but I don't think people have a mindset that we're 100 years old, or they do now, but they didn't initially. And that's important. I mean, you think about how many other 100th anniversary things do you hear about? Do you think about? And interestingly enough, there have been some other significant ones this year. The Oreo cookie is 100 years old.
Sometimes eating too many of those will put you in your
place. That's right.
Place,
of course, the tragedy of the Titanic. This is the 100th anniversary. Fenway Park opened 100 years ago. We
coincidence?
We're in some good company.
Right.
But the fact is, we've been serving people in this community for 100 years, and we look forward to continuing to do it going forward.
Yeah, and again, you're hoping maybe another 100 years if it's possible.
Yeah, right? You can't. My crystal ball isn't that clear, but for the foreseeable future, we're getting stronger.
So you've been doing this for a little while now, the PR thing at the hospital. Are you learning more of the medical lingo since you've been there? Are you hanging out with the doctors more? Or,
I'm absorbing as much as I can as fast as I can. I mean, this is it's an acronym heavy world, and trying to learn all those things.
Code blue. And,
just trying to absorb as much as I can, and again, what really stands out from a new employee perspective is how much the people there really care. Not just about who we're taking care of, but who's doing the work. I mean, people will sit down with me and make sure that I can understand things before I need to, go out and talk about them, which is nice. But we've got 3,000 people working there, Sean, that care about the community and care about the people that they're taking care of. And we have people that have been there. Meeting somebody that's worked there for 30 years is more the norm than the exception. At
that place.
That place, yeah. And as I've gotten to know more people as we get ready for these centennial events, it's amazing that some people will start at the hospital right out of high school, and they're still there. And these are people in their 40s and in their 50s.
And there are local colleges, like Three Rivers, that have nursing programs where you can graduate and maybe get a job right away.
Start right up. And so there is
opportunity.
There's opportunity, absolutely right, and but really connected to the community in a lot of different ways. And people don't always understand how much the hospital gives back.
100-year celebration. You're gonna try to spread it out for as much of 2012 as you can, right?
Absolutely.
The website is going to have all the info for all the events that are coming up in celebration of
lmhospital.org, and if you're socially inclined, facebook.com/L&M Hospital.
Michael Farrell, Public Relations Director for L&M Hospital. Pleasure having you on the show.
Always fun, Sean.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. We will see you next time. Take care.